Boner.
A while ago, a longtime viewer of my channel posted that he was sick of combiners after March. Of the combiners! And he wanted anything else. Well, sorry buddy, it ain't stopping. Just in case you needed a recap of this year, we got a re-release of Devil Savior Troublemaker, we got a new Superion and a Bruticus on the way, Haslab Leo Kaiser got funded, Omega Prime was just released, we have a third-party Legend Scale Raiden on the way that looks to be pretty good. A lot of the Studio Series Devastator pieces got re-released, Laser Prime and God Bomber is on his way, as is God Jinrai as a result, and of course, you can't have this giant wave of combiners without the big green menace himself, Devastator. The green one, not that one. So far, 2 figures are out with more on the way soon, and let me tell you, I have feelings. I don't think I have to give too much of an introduction to Devastator, do I? Really? He's basically the Jolly Green Giant, except instead of bringing you metallic tasting vegetables, he brings you destruction. Plus, I already reviewed him in the past with his G2ified yellow and purple figure, which I didn't give the kindest review of. But after having experienced other G1 combiners such as Computron and Raiden at TFCon LA, I can safely say he's even worse in hindsight. The desire for a good Devastator that weren't just repaints of other figures was still a goal for many a Transformers fan. Like I said, the third-party scene for Transformers is owed in part to him, including ones where he's doing his best Cotton Hill impression. And in 2014, Hasbro and Takara finally gave the people what they wanted, with a true return of Devastator, hyping it up like one of those sports star reels you see on TikTok. So forward thinking? And boom, we got Combiner Wars Titan class Devastator. And it was glorious, for the most part. Devastator certainly became a piece of must-have Transformers excess, like you'd swear the Combiner Wars line was made just to promote him. Which maybe it was, given the quality of a lot of the other combiners. I'll do a full review of this big idiot later down the line, but let's first answer the question, why replace him? Why not just re-release him like they've done Armada Unicron several times over the years? Well, don't get me wrong, he probably is the best Combiner Wars figure by far, and I do think it's a genuinely good piece of delightful devastation. But he's still from that early to mid 2010s era, meaning his posability is almost there, but still isn't quite what it could be. The arms like to fall off constantly, the individual Constructicons would not pass as individual figures, and worst of all, it's from that era of plastic quality for Transformers, the very fragile and loose kind. And guess what? Hook's friggin' connector likes to snap right off. He has other connection points, but god, it's scary looking. And this guy was sold as a gift set only, meaning no easy replacement figures. So yeah, I think an upgrade for the green party here was long overdue. And we got the announcement of the Studio Series Devastator, the other one. And unlike their last combiner with Menasor, Hasbro said it won't be scalped to hell and back. We'll see about that.
Hey, sorry for the interruption, but have you subscribed yet? Well, why not? Because not everyone who watches this video may be subscribed. I upload new videos weekly alongside other shorts and live streams, so hit subscribe and hit the bell for updates on new videos. Once I hit 7,500 subscribers, I'm planning a big retrospective on Metroplex, so that's something to get excited for. Also, consider becoming a channel member. Your financial support goes into making these videos and would be a massive help. Thank you so much. Now back to the video.
So far, Scrapper and Bonecrusher here are the only ones out, though Long Haul and Hook are scheduled for release later on as a Commander class set. More on that later. Let's start off with the smallest of the two so far, with Deluxe class Bonecrusher, who, I'll just say right off the bat, was never my favorite of the Constructicons, and a lot of that is due to the color scheme. Due to the choice of tread legs and the all-green color scheme, he looks like he's wearing a pair of onesie pajamas. Say what thou will about the films of the Bay, but the Bonecrusher in that movie, that was a Bonecrusher with his aggro mecha orc look and big meaty claws. This guy couldn't even crush peanuts. But that being said, as a figure, it does nail Pajama Sam himself, just with a bit more beef in the torso, which actually does look rather charming. Normally Long Haul is the one with extra meat on him. He's got that great SS-86 look with decent cybernetic detailing, but not enough that it spoils the toon-accurate look. A delicious sneer on his face and ball joints? Been a while since we saw these. See, for the most part, Transformer figures have largely switched to pins and mushroom peg for arms, legs, etc. But Hasbro got their balls back for this guy and some of the other Studio Series Devastator figures. And some people have a big problem with these. I don't really get why. While I do prefer pin joints, ball joints are fine and honestly work on the mostly monochrome Bonecrusher anyways. Maybe it's just the Bionicle and Beast Wars bitch that I am, but I'm fine with these. They provide good movement. Some people complain about longevity, claiming fragility over time, and here's my counter. I have 30-year-old Beast Wars toys that hold up fine with ball joints. Here are figures from the mid-2010s with pin and peg joints that all got a case of polio. This guy feels strong and solid, like he almost feels like an Armada figure who feels so chunky. The back isn't the best, however, with a big black backpack that'll no doubt be used for Devastator later, and a large hole in exactly the worst possible spot. As far as articulation goes, we got rotation at the head with up and down neck. No ball joint here, sadly. Ball joints at the shoulder allow for perfect rotation in T-pose. Ball joints on elbow, allowing for rotation in 90 degrees. There's also a double elbow that allows for perfect elbows, but that only goes at the back for transformation. Kind of a shame though, given its ball joints, it's easily swappable. Boom! Fan mode! The digger shovel extends, allowing for a waist rotation. Fun fact, I once saw a video of a guy lifting weights with his penis. Just thought I'd share that. He has one hell of an ab crunch, allowing for easy entry. These treads can spread and rotate with these ball joints. Rotation at the upper leg, and the knees can bend at 90. Feet can adjust as well and have ankle pivots. And with all these, he can pull off this pose of the week. The posability on this guy is honestly really damn solid. There's a good range of motion and it looks pretty natural. It's not the biggest change from his Combiner Wars figure, which makes sense. A lot of this is from the same designer, legendary toy designer Shoga Hasui. Dad's returned to help his son through college. The transformation is really fun and quick. Everything snaps together a-okay, and the final result is a really solid chunk of bulldozer. Nice and chunky with a delightfully articulated shovel, and it can roll. At least it would if it had some wheels. Yeah, for some reason this poor lad doesn't have wheels. I really don't get this. It must be pennies worth of plastic? Were the ball joints that expensive? Let's move on to the Voyager class scrapper, which I did say Voyager, right? Because this guy is actually smaller than Bonecrusher? Like, I'm not a size junkie. Sometimes I feel like Transformers fans get a little too hung up on sizes sometimes. But this guy is $10 more. I'd like a little more size so that he's not technically shorter than his friend. Size aside, I think Scrapper does look great, an almost perfect one-to-one recreation of the Scrapper from the cartoon, and massively improved from Combiner Wars, mostly because he actually has elbows and forearms, though his forearms have a bit of an issue. Would a little plastic flap really have gone that much into the budget? You know, the extra $10? The articulation is pretty solid in many ways, almost one-to-one with Bonecrusher, apart from the ball-jointed neck. And one other thing completely missing. No waist rotation. None. Whatsoever. This is surprising for a figure this recent. Okay, I know there are figures out there still being released with no waist pivot, usually due to the design or the transformation, but when it's a design this simple, it's more than a little frustrating given the cost. And I know where that $10 cost went to. The ratchet joint for the leg this guy will become. Which is fine and all, but I wish that this guy could pull off just a little bit extra. Hell, with the extra $10, why not have an internal ratcheted waist pivot? Therefore, the leg could remain stable while giving that extra bit of articulation. Though, maybe I'm wrong. Please let me know in the comments. Because the thing is, none of the Combiner Wars figures I feel like could be their own figures. They're very clearly gift set only. Whereas these guys, I kind of hope for them to be a lot more standalone. Kind of like how Motormaster and the Stunticons were able to stand on their own a lot more, even without Menasor. But, well, with what I've seen of Longhaul and Hook so far, I'm a bit nervous, especially on that price. But that review will come when it comes.
Come.
Despite my concerns, the transformation is a lot of fun and Scrapper looks fantastic. Compared to Bone Daddy, he actually has wheels, and the digger also digs too. And actually, do a handstand and boom, we got Devastator's leg. That always tickles me that Scrapper is their leader, but he has to do a handstand while forming the big idiot's leg. So that was, I guess, part 1 of this series of figures. We'll look at the remaining lads as they come out, but so far, I'm a bit conflicted. In many ways, these guys are what I'm looking for and are massively improved from Combiner Wars, but also they're not quite what I think they could be. I'm sure the final Devastator will be excellent, and I think they are for the most part still workable as standalone figures, but I think the potential wasn't fully realized, and before someone goes, but what about fans' toys, Constructicon? Fuck off. Like, actually. Do you forget so quick?
And push it.
But what about you? How do you feel about the Constructicons so far? How do you think Long Haul and Hook will be? Let me know in the comments and please subscribe.